True Crime Society podcast contains adult themes and violence and is not intended for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. And if you'd like to skip the intro or move to any specific part of the podcast, please refer to the timestamps listed in the episode description. Thank you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of True Crime Society podcast with Stephanie and Olivia. It is January 4th, 2026. Ah!
Oh, no.
We're here. It's going to be our year. We're ready. It's great. Weather update for New York. We've been getting a ton of snow in December. Usually, I've said, if you've listened to the podcast for a long time, I'm always like, I don't know, New York doesn't get snow anymore. We get like maybe one snowstorm, two snowstorms, a couple inches here and there. It's been snow every day. It's always snowing. Tons of snow. Which, I don't know, it's like fun. And also, after a while, it starts to be a drag because you're like, we have to shovel and brush off the cars again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was like, yeah.
You're like, yeah, totally get it.
I've never ever had that experience. I've lived in Vancouver in Canada where it does snow, but we didn't have a car then. So I've never had to deal with the whole car snow issue, which is maybe one blessing about not having the fun snow part.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, we make it through. It's pretty to see. Like when I send you a video, you're like, ooh, wow.
Marissa, who is one of our True Crime Society admin friends, she sent me a photo the other day of some snowflakes. And I was like, that is unbelievable. Like how defined they are. Like it actually looks like a movie cartoon snowflake. Whereas,
yeah, if you can catch them right, you can see the patterns.
But yeah, the weather here has been actually pretty average in New South Wales where I live anyway. We are summer. We had a few nice-ish days, but it's been pretty cool. Like I even had to wear like sweaters and jumpers. But then I was just saying, so this week I'm back to work after Christmas break, of course, and this is the week that the heat wave is coming.
Of course.
So anyway, it's fine. It's been fine. Not too bad. We've got a bit of rain, which is good because we don't want any bushfires. So yeah, could be worse, could be better, but it's all fine. It's a beautiful day out there today. So maybe I'll get outside after we record.
Yes. Do you want to mention the book or whatever first?
Oh yeah. So just because we haven't recorded for a little while. I guess this is our first main recording for about a month almost because we released our Patreon episode. So we haven't really done any updates or anything like that. But someone, and I can't find the comment anywhere, so if it was you, please comment again and let me know. But they left a comment on Spotify saying that I should check out a book by Riley Sager, I believe is the author, called The Only One Left. So I audioed it, and it was really, really good. I think it's an older book, like maybe set in the 80s, or even written in the 80s. It kind of reminded me of like Danielle Steele, Virginia Andrews, those type of old school books, but tons of twists and turns, and it was quite a long audio book, so I really enjoyed going for a walk and listening to it. So thank you to whoever made that suggestion. Let me know if it was you and I'll give you a proper shout out next time. But Riley Sager, The Only One Left, is the book that I have been reading. The other book I think I mentioned in our last Patreon, but I did read Nobody's Girl by Virginia Roberts Geoffrey, I think is how you say her name, and it's all about kind of Epstein and her experience with all of that. A very interesting, kind of a somber read, but if you are interested in that case and that, that whole situation, I definitely recommend checking that one out.
Nice.
So again, it's been a little while since we've updated. We do have a listener of the week. This is from Haley. She wrote to us, hope you all have a great holiday break. I truly appreciate the hard work you guys do. TCS is honestly my favorite podcast. I know one day it will be so big you'll have to quit your day job, LOL, which is lovely. I laugh as well, but LOL is funny. It just makes me laugh.
I know.
LOL. But no, very, very nice. We've had loads of nice comments. So my other new little project called Below the Surface launched just in the last few days. And again, that's another podcast that I'm working on with Mike Morford. Very different to True Crime Society. It's a lot shorter, a very high-level overview of crimes that are related to water. We've done Susan Smith as one. Dan Short is another one. He was a bank president who was thrown into the water while alive. Kim Wall is one that's been released, and that is about a woman who was murdered while in a submarine. So it's kind of a very niche crime topic, but that has launched this weekend. And again, so many lovely comments. People have been so lovely. I really, really appreciate you guys checking it out. So thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to see everyone showing some support.
Yep. So, and we did really want to quickly acknowledge our new Patreons. It's been a few weeks, so the list will be pretty long this week. I'm trying to remember where we cut off last time when we recorded. So if I did leave you out accidentally, total accident, please let us know and we can give you a shout out next week. We just wanted to welcome Krista, Sarah S, Ella, Cindy, Bobby, Jen, Ingrid, Jack, Adele, Bailey, Maddie, Adriana, Brandy, Mary Margaret, Sam, Danielle M, Melissa, Emma, Jasa, I hope I'm saying your name right, Courtney, Hattie, Sarah, Roxanne, Lindsay, Terry, Betsy, Tara, Julie, Megan, Kieran, Katie, Catherine, Rebecca, Mallory, Amy, Dee, Regina, and Shanice. So a lot because we've had a bit of a break. But yes, and also I noticed too that a lot of people were gifted their Patreon. I'm guessing maybe as like a Christmas present or some type of holiday gift.
Yeah.
So great idea especially if you need one throughout the year for someone who has a birthday or you don't know what to get someone who loves true crime. Great idea.
It's a great last minute one because it's digital.
Yeah, exactly. They can get it straight away. So if you've totally forgotten, get on there.
So welcome. Thank you everyone for joining. And if you want your name mentioned in the episode, you should check out the Patreon. Okay, today we are going to be talking about the Hoggle children, which is a case I don't know. I can't decide if I remember hearing about it. There's like a few others that I feel like I'm getting confused with, but I definitely didn't know too much about it. It's very interesting and complex, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's one that's, and I have thought about doing it for a long time, but it was just one of those ones that seemed, it was very daunting to dive into because there is a lot of information and things have happened with most cases, the kind of crime happens and then there's the legal process, whereas there's so much back and forth. Anyway.
It's definitely a case where a lot of people have passionately followed that are probably eager to correct us and be like, you forgot this, you forgot that. So as usual, this is just like the main telling of the story. Of course, there's probably a billion little details and theories and things you can mention, but this is just like a general semi-deep overview of the case, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
It happened in September 2014. It's the disappearance of the Hoggle children, who are Sarah, who is 3 years old, and Jacob, who is 2 years old. They were from Maryland. And I mean, it's probable that it's most likely that they were murdered, though they've never been found at this point, but it's assumed that they were killed most likely by their mother, Catherine Hoggle. She is the suspected perpetrator. And the case has been going on for so long, for over a decade at this point, due to competency. I can't say it. Competency. Can you say it so I could copy you?
Competency.
Due to competency. I don't know. I'm struggling to say competency due to competency issues. This is where people are like, Stephanie can't read. Sometimes I can't talk.
Before we continue on with the episode, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, ButcherBox. When dinner time hits and your fridge is full of question marks, which is me basically every single day, ButcherBox has your back. Skip the last-minute supermarket sweep or impromptu chop challenge with whatever's left in your fridge. ButcherBox delivers better meat right when you need it. I know that this can be the season of cookies, cocktails, junk foods, snack foods. If you're trying to be healthy and make some better choices, ButcherBox takes something off your plate by putting something better on it. Clean, high-quality protein delivered to your door so your meals stay simple, satisfying, and actually nourishing.
So I got a butcher's box delivered to me, and it was so awesome because I love getting stuff delivered, as I've said many times. But with meat, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I want to get that delivered from the grocery store and trust someone else to pick it out for me. But butcher's box, it was all great quality. I got 2 ribeyes, a thing of ribs, 3 things of chicken tenderloins, and a thing of sirloin tips. So it was awesome. I was very, very excited for it. We had some on New Year's Eve and it was all delicious. And I felt really great about it. Plus, every box ships free always and includes members-only perks like recipe inspo, tips, and exclusive deals to help you make the most of every meal. As an exclusive offer, our listeners can get free steak in every box for a year, plus $20 off your first box when you go to butcherbox.com/TCS. That's right, your choice of filet mignon, New York strip, or ribeye in every box for an entire year, plus $20 off your first box and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/TCS. Don't forget to use our link so that they know we sent you. Okay, so like I said at the start, like we were just saying, it's a very interesting case. So pay attention, everyone. We're going to start with some background into the family. So Catherine's mother, Lindsay Hoggle, has written a medium.com account, and she has written a lot of pieces about her daughter and the grandchildren and what happened that day. If you have the time to read it, I would suggest you do, because it is interesting to kind of hear from a first-hand source, but also keep in mind that she is biased in in a way. Like, she definitely is trying to support her daughter.
And there is quite a lot of religious, when I say a lot, like there are a lot of facts in there as per Lindsay's recollection of it, but there are some kind of religious posts, and she seems to be kind of a religious person. But there was a gap, I noticed too, between I think 2023, and she's just done another update as of December 2025. But I agree, definitely check it out. It's super comprehensive. She goes through a lot of background and a lot of the incidents leading up to this incident and event. So definitely have a look at it.
Yeah. So Lindsay, that is Catherine's mother, the grandmother of the children, she says that Catherine is the eldest of 4 siblings and that she had struggled with mental health issues since middle school. Lindsay had separated from Catherine's father, Randy Hoggle. So Lindsay is Catherine's mother, Randy is the father, and they are separated. According to media reports, Catherine was bright, but she began to struggle with schoolwork in middle school. She was diagnosed with a learning disability, problems with executive functions such as planning and organization. Then came doctors' concerns about mood and bipolar disorder. After high school, Catherine enrolled at a community college and by the fall of 2007 had started waiting tables at the Green Turtle in Germantown, Maryland, which was a sports bar. She fell in love with the bouncer named Troy Turner there, and she said it was like a fairy tale. Sounds like it.
Yeah.
When the couple met, Catherine was 22 years old and Troy was 36. They were not married. Catherine became pregnant with their first child, a son. It's interesting. Well, I guess not. Well, the kids had her last name.
Yeah, I guess because they weren't married, maybe it's just easier. But yeah, I found that interesting too.
Catherine became pregnant with their first child, a son, shortly after the couple began dating. She gave birth to that child in the fall of 2008, but this child is not one of the victims. They're still alive, so we're not going to identify them due to privacy concerns. When she became pregnant with their first child, Catherine told Troy that she had been on ADHD medication, and Troy believed she was stopping due to being pregnant. She also quit smoking and drinking when she was pregnant. Catherine did not tell her family that she was pregnant with her first child. This baby was the firstborn grandchild on that side. She called her mother, Lindsay, after the birth to let her know that she was a grandmother. There was no warning before that. Lindsay has said that Catherine had nothing much prepared for the baby. Imagine getting a call of like, surprise. Or did she like not see her? That's what's like.
There's a really, really good podcast on this. It's a little bit older now. I think it's like around 7 years old, but I started listening to it again in preparation for this episode. It's called Unresolved. So some things have happened, so it's a little bit out of date, but Lindsay speaks about this, and she said that she saw Catherine throughout the pregnancy and she had suspicions that Catherine was pregnant, but as Catherine was quite troubled, like I'm paraphrasing here, but this is basically what she said. She said as Catherine was quite troubled, she really hoped that it wasn't true. And then Catherine called her and said, surprise, you're a grandmother. Not surprise, you're going to be a grandmother. You are a grandmother. So yeah, very, I guess that just kind of gives you an indication too. Like that's quite abnormal behavior. And especially to not have much prepared for the baby shows maybe some.
It's crazy.
Yeah, chaos going on.
Yeah. So to give the young couple a break, Lindsay planned to watch the baby for 2 days. As Lindsay was leaving with her grandson, Catherine stuffed index cards into her mom's back pocket, how to mix the formula, when to feed him, a reminder to keep pillows out of the crib. So I guess that's worth mentioning just because it shows that like she did care about the baby. It's not like she was totally just like out of it. So then Sarah Hoggle was born on November 20th, 2010, and Jacob Hoggle was born on July 3rd, 2012. Troy said that Catherine had 3 babies in under 6 years. Troy said that around this time, Catherine started to become paranoid that someone was trying to break up their family. He thought she may have been suffering from postpartum depression. Catherine's behavior in this regard did improve, so Troy didn't worry about it any further.
He's also interviewed in the Unresolved podcast, and he does go on to say that basically she was acting erratically, but then she kind of improved. But then because they had so many babies in such a short amount of time, he just kind of assumed this was her normal behavior when she was pregnant. He said he Googled symptoms in pregnancy, and some of these things could be attributed to that. So because I think a lot of people how did you not notice that she was so mentally ill for it to lead to this? But he said, it kind of was all these pregnancies. It was just this perfect storm of horrible.
Seems like chaos.
Yeah, chaos. So she was pregnant a lot of the time, and he attributed a lot of it to being pregnant and then postpartum.
Hormones.
Yeah.
So as the years went on, Catherine's mental health began to worsen or continued to worsen. Her family have said that she seemed to seek control by withholding basic information. So for example, Troy would ask, which 7-Eleven did you go to? And she would say, the one in Germantown. And he'd have to be like, well, which one? And she'd be like, I already told you. So just withholding information that way. Troy has said that their relationship was non-existent by 2012. He said that they were sleeping in different bedrooms and places. In 2013, Catherine became convinced that Troy's sister was breaking into their apartment. She even filed court papers claiming his sister had stolen a $12.09 pack of toddler undershirts and a $30 plastic toy with a lion image. She wrote, "It matches our other yellow lion walker from the other kids, except the missing one didn't have a scratch on the eye from where the paint had worn from years of wear and tear and love." So it just kind of seems like something someone who is mentally ill would do.
Yeah, are you really going to file a court order about toddler clothes and a $30 toy? It's, very irrational behavior.
So Catherine also alleged that Troy's sister was following her. She tried to get a restraining order. She told the Montgomery County Judge, Barry Hamilton, we go to the grocery store, she shows up there. We start going to a different grocery store, she starts showing up there. I go to take my kids to the pediatrician, she shows up there. I go to my mom's house, she shows up there. Which, I mean, in a town doesn't really seem like that weird, honestly. But
yeah, and I do wonder if the sister, we're getting to it, but they had kind of a agreement amongst the family who would help care for Catherine, and the sister was one of those people. So I do wonder if maybe she was meant to be doing those things that they had agreed you can go and check she gets to the pediatrician, for example.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So the judge declined Catherine's request for the restraining order. Troy said that he encouraged Catherine to get professional help and to take her medication. He said that he was not sure that she did either of those. One day when they were in their SUV, Catherine began whispering and looking around as if their vehicle could have been bugged. Troy pulled over and told her that nobody could hear them. He said, "No one's listening to us. We're boring." He said that he tried to calm her down by using slight humor, but he was becoming increasingly worried about her. On July 13th, 2013, when Jacob was around 13 months old, Catherine was admitted to a psychiatric hospital. She was still nursing the baby, so she pumped milk and sent it to her mother, who would then feed Jacob. On Christmas Eve in 2013, Catherine was admitted to the Shepherd Pratt Psychiatric Hospital in Maryland. Catherine did not agree to be treated, so she was admitted involuntarily. According to Lindsay, Catherine was handcuffed in front of her children before being escorted to the facility. And this point, it was just something that she mentioned, Lindsay, Catherine's mother mentioned in her blog, that this was kind of the incident that made Catherine very paranoid, because apparently Troy was mentioning to her, you need to get treatment, you need to deal with your mental health issues. She was very worried about being involuntarily held again and being kept away from her kids again, is the story.
Yeah, and Lindsay does kind of I agree. It sounds like it was the children shouldn't have witnessed that. It was a horrible thing to have witnessed. But it does sound like Catherine was very adamant that she didn't want to go at that point.
Yeah, just a lose-lose situation. She had to go. She wasn't cooperating. She needs to get help, but
yeah,
it's there may be a better way. So Troy has spoken about what he told the children regarding their mother's health. He had once gone to the hospital to be treated for his asthma, and he said, "Do you remember when Daddy had to stay in the hospital for 2 days? That's what Mommy's doing. She just has to stay a little longer." So after the Christmas Eve incident, Catherine transitioned from the psychiatric hospital to a day hospital, to a residential facility, to an outpatient program. This took place over the period of 9 months to September 2014, which is just prior to the children's disappearance. During this period, Catherine was placed on a variety of different medications and was diagnosed with multiple conditions such as schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and other serious mental illnesses. Catherine suffered many side effects from the medication changes, including drooling, slurred speech, hand tremors, GI issues, and drowsiness. Lindsay has said that in many cases, these side effects were worse than Catherine's actual mental illnesses. A quote from Lindsay's Medium article says, "After so many attempts, I dubbed these horrid psychotropic meds open heart surgery with a chainsaw." And she just mentioned how, like, you try out a new medication, that medication's not working, then you have to wean off it and then try a new medication. It's a very long, awful process.
Yeah.
By summer 2014, Catherine was at home and seemed to be doing much better. Doctors suggested that another adult be present when Catherine was with the children, not due to risk of harm, but because of the sedative effects of her medications. So Lindsay has said that she saw this effect multiple times and even expressed concern about Catherine being able to react in an emergency such as a fire.
They do speak about this quite a lot in the Unresolved podcast too, and they basically say that they were worried about Catherine's decision-making abilities. Like it seems like, like I think the sedative effect is probably the best way to describe it, that she was a little bit slower in her reactions. She wasn't able to focus as well on whatever the situation was. They wouldn't, like they've always said in basically every interview, that they were never worried that Catherine would intentionally harm the children, but that they kind of may come to harm because of a decision. If there was a fire, what would she do, for example?
Yeah, and a lot of people do say like some medications just kind of make you like a zombie, honestly, and that's why people don't like them, especially if it's not the right fit for you.
Yeah.
So Randy, who's her father, has said that after her treatment, Catherine appeared to return to being the attentive parent that she had previously been. She would read books to the kids and ask them why they thought the story was funny or what it really meant. But Randy did also say that he did notice her fatigue and disconnection. Sometimes she would open a book and stare at it, leaving the children to turn the pages and try to figure out the story for themselves. Troy has said that at that point, he didn't believe Catherine would intentionally hurt the children. He knew that her mental illness could be unpredictable, and he wanted to avoid leaving her alone with the toddlers. He, along with family members Lindsay, Randy, Troy's mother, his sister, and Catherine's siblings, and Troy's friends, and a babysitter, all worked together to help ensure that another adult was always around to help Catherine with the children.
I feel like that is a big support network. Like most people probably don't have that many people who are willing to help, but it just shows, I guess, how worried everyone was about her, that they all banded together, to try and make it so that she never had to be alone with the kids.
Yeah, it's nice, but also as like Catherine or as like the person, I could see how it could be like kind of exhausting of being like having all these people around all the time,
Yeah.
Even though obviously it was for the best. But I do wonder if it like exasperated her paranoia, like with accusing his sister of that stuff and those things.
Mm. So this episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack, hydration, and coffee sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious low-sugar brain and body fuel you'll need to win your day. So as we've mentioned, 2026 is definitely going to be our year. The new year means a clean slate for us all. We can start fresh, make the year our own. It's time to transform any frustration you've got into fuel and power your day with IQ Bar. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ Bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. I actually had one of my favorite flavors of IQ Bars before we recorded today, almond butter chip. So delicious. I had it for breakfast. It's like a little sweet snack, healthy, great for you. I love it. It's my favorite all-time breakfast.
Start carrying IQ Bar's plant protein bars in your bag. They're the smarter snack choice with plenty of plant protein, tons of fiber, and no added sugar. The new year gives us all a chance to reset, maximize your brain and body's potential with IQ Bar's protein bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their ultimate sampler pack includes all 3. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the ultimate sampler pack plus free shipping. To your 20% off, text CRIME to 64,000, text CRIME to 64,000, that's CRIME to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. The care of the children generally took place at 2 locations, which was either Troy and Catherine's apartment or Lindsay's home.
So whoever was caring for the children, like even though Lindsay and Randy were divorced, if Randy was caring for the children, it would generally be at Lindsay's house, for example. Though you had, I guess, it's probably, I assume, to make it less disruptive for the children. They just had these two kind of home bases, and that's where they would be, and whoever was caring for them would go to one of those two places.
Yeah. Since Lindsay was one of the primary caregivers, she has spoken about the days leading up to the disappearance. She has said that she made plans for a college friend to visit for the weekend from September 5th to 7th, which is a Friday to a Sunday in 2014. She told Catherine and presumably Troy that she would be unable to help the children for that period of time and offered to help coordinate alternative carers. So Lindsay picked up her friend Karen on the Friday and they spent time together. Lindsay texted Catherine on Saturday and said that she wanted to take Karen to the oldest grandchild's soccer game the following day. And Catherine responded negatively, saying, "Isn't it early to be waking up on a Sunday? Wouldn't you rather sleep in and go to church and show her off there?"
I'm assuming her means Karen because the oldest grandchild is a male. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of weird, but yeah, I'm assuming she means Karen. Yeah.
Yeah, just weird all around. Seems like she was maybe scheming, starting to scheme. So on Sunday, September 7th, Lindsay texted her ex-husband Randy to ask about the children. At 2:26, she texted, at 2:20, this is an excerpt from her
Medium
post.
article. Yeah.
At 2:26 p.m., I text Catherine's dad to ask where are babies today. At 3:03, he texts back, "At your house." At 3:04, she texted back, "With whom?" "I wasn't aware of those plans. I'm getting crabs tonight. There is other food for babies."
And she goes, this is from her blog, as you mentioned, but she goes into a detailed explanation about why she wanted to get these crabs, because they're from Maryland, and that's like some delicacy there. So that's why she was getting crabs to have with Karen. But basically that there was other food there for the babies.
Lindsay and her friend Karen headed back to her home to help with care for the children. They arrived back at 6 p.m. When Lindsay walked in, Catherine was not there, and Lindsay said that there was an odd feeling in the house. Randy and Lindsay had a conversation, and Lindsay soon discovered that Catherine had taken his car to get pizza and that she had taken Jacob with her. And this was against the care protocols that had been put in place with her family. So good job, Randy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad for him because I'm sure he feels like shit, but I'm like,
I feel like
Randy.
This incident especially is very strange. Like, I have so many questions about what actually happened during this time, which once you've read it, I'll say, but it's just a very...
Yeah, it is very...
For that, like, imagine for them to have this whole care plan in place, this group of people who are met, and he's just like, "Yeah, you can take the baby." Yeah.
Yeah, like Randy said that about 4 p.m., Catherine told her father that she had a coupon for pizza and asked to borrow his car to pick it up. Jacob was clinging to her, and Catherine said, "Let me just take him." And also, apparently, she had gotten a DUI in the past. I've seen people saying, which is another reason why she shouldn't have just been like out driving around. So the family after that went driving and looking for Catherine after she didn't return. She arrived back home at 7:20 without Jacob.
So that's over 3 hours after she left to get the pizza.
And there was no pizza, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It kind of was weird. Like, she apparently told them, this is coming from Lindsay's Medium article too, but she apparently told them that she had trouble getting the pizza or there was a delay.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There's red flags all around.
Yeah.
When she was asked where the child was, Catherine said he was at a sleepover at a friend's house. She also said that she'd taken quite a while to return to the home as she had difficulty getting a pizza. Why was she getting a pizza if the kid was just going to this sleepover, apparently? This 2-year-old going to a sleepover. Lindsay has said that she expressed her unhappiness at the situation as Catherine was not meant to be driving and that she believed 2-year-old Jacob was too young for an overnight sleepover. During all this commotion, Karen, the friend, had purchased a princess dress for Sarah. Sarah tried it on, and Lindsay took a photo of her, and Catherine asked to see the phone, and she immediately deleted the photo, which is strange.
It indicates some type of maybe paranoia, like, why are you taking photos of my kid, even though it was a grandmother, but yeah.
Yeah, just something's clearly off with her.
And Lindsay wrote about that in the Medium article, so Lindsay clearly noticed that this was unsettling and strange behavior.
Yeah, even though Lindsay is biased towards supporting Catherine more so, she definitely was aware that this was all off and does seem like, even though the ball was kind of dropped at this point, she does seem like she comes back around and is trying to find out where the kids are and get more information. So by 8:30 p.m., Lindsay was becoming increasingly unsettled with the evening's events. Randy was asked to take Catherine, Sarah, and the oldest grandchild back to their apartment. He was also asked to pick up Jacob from his sleepover. He did drop the others to the apartment, but doesn't seem from all reports that Jacob returned home that night. This is where I'm like, why didn't anyone tell the dad what was going on?
I know.
Do something.
And also, so this is Lindsay, a lot of these kind of almost minute by minute updates come from Lindsay. She's like, so this happened at this time and this and this and this. So basically Randy was told to go and pick up Jacob, and it sounds from what I've read that Catherine had said Jacob was at a sleepover in the same apartment complex, like with a friend in the same apartment complex where they lived. So I still don't understand why Randy, I haven't seen anywhere why Randy didn't go and like maybe what excuse Catherine gave him as to why they couldn't pick up Jacob. But he just seemed to kind of accept that Jacob was going to stay at this apparent sleepover. Because I was kind of under the impression before I started researching all this that Jacob made it home that night. It doesn't seem that he did. Wherever Catherine took him on the guise of getting the pizza is where he apparently remained. But I feel like
it's just
where
sad.
the ball was really dropped. There was a lot of, it seems like miscommunication. No one followed up to check that Jacob was home.
And the dad mentions it too, but just like if someone had told him at this point, like maybe it could have saved Sarah or something could have been done. So these are some quotes from some of the media articles that confirm that Jacob was not seen that night. So this one says, Troy arrived from work about midnight. He noticed that Jacob wasn't in the toddler bed in the master bedroom, but that wasn't unusual. The little boy often got up and crawled into bed with a sibling, so Troy went to sleep. And this is a quote from Troy. He said, "No one calls me when she comes back without my child. Had I received that call, then Sarah would still be with us, because the second I got that call, I would have called the police." And then another excerpt, he's talking about some guilt that he feels. He said that he got home on the later side and decided not to wake the kids with a goodnight kiss. He said, "I say this with great regret. It's the one that I didn't go in when I got back later to kiss my kids and, kneel by the bed. I was tired and perhaps it was selfish. I said, if I wake them up, then I'm up too. So I went to sleep." So he clearly feels guilty because he probably would have noticed that Jacob wasn't there if he had gone in.
Yeah.
Randy stayed the night at the apartment and left early the next morning. It was also like, why'd he stay? And then, well, I guess to stay with her. But then, like, shouldn't you have waited till Jacob was allegedly coming back? I don't know. Just...
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about that night. It just seems like there's a lot of strange things going on.
Yeah, like, what did she talk about all night? Or did they just go to bed? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Troy's oldest son woke him up and was eager to get to school. This is when Troy realized that Catherine, Sarah, and Jacob were not in the home. But he didn't have to stay because Troy was there. So why did he stay? Randy.
But I guess he wanted to go to bed. Like, if he, like, let's just say, I don't know, I'm just speculating, but maybe he went to bed about 11. Troy got home around midnight. Maybe he didn't want to wait up till midnight. He just said, I'll go to bed here and then leave early in the morning.
Yeah.
So Troy does speak a lot about these kind of the incidents of the morning on the Unresolved podcast. I'm paraphrasing, but basically he said he woke up and he went looking for, the oldest son woke him up. And then he thought, okay, Jacob must have gone into the other bed. And then when he went into the other room to check, there was no one there. Catherine was gone. Sarah was gone. Jacob was gone. Catherine's cell phone had been left at the house. So Troy said that he didn't want to panic the oldest child. So he got that child ready for school and then put him on the school bus. He then called Lindsay at 8:03 a.m. and asked her where everyone was. And Lindsay basically told him something's wrong, call 911. He said he then called 911, and while either the call was connecting or he kind of hadn't, if he had gotten through to the operator, he hadn't told them the whole situation. But he was basically going to tell them that Catherine and the two children were missing along with the vehicle. But while he was on the phone to 911, Catherine drove up to the apartment. Troy told the 911 operator to wait while he spoke to her. She apparently told him, "I got up early so you could sleep in. I took Sarah and Jacob to a daycare that is having a trial program." She told Troy that the daycare was in Germantown and that he might want to take a tour later that day when he picked up the children. So Troy has said that he was upset about her taking the children without telling him, but they had been discussing putting the children in a daycare, so I guess it seemed kind of plausible. Like,
it's just all, again, not to say the same thing, but just like, what is going on?
I know. But like we've mentioned in other episodes too, like why didn't people act sooner? But I guess you'll just never think that anything like this could happen. Like, you would they've always said that they never thought she would intentionally hurt the children. So maybe you would think this is true. They're both gone. Surely she couldn't have done something to both of the children. And they must be in this daycare. Yeah,
I know it's like hindsight, it's 2020, but it's like with all the red flags and all of her history, like someone should have said something or done something.
Yeah. So Troy went back to the 911 operator and said that basically everything was all right and it had been a false alarm. So Catherine was in an outpatient day program, kind of treatment program at this time. Troy drove her then to her daily treatment. Lindsay has said that she called Catherine at 1:40 p.m. to inquire about the children. Catherine told her that she couldn't talk because it was her last day at group therapy. Catherine would later deny saying this, but Lindsay kept a journal of kind of everything that had happened, and she had specifically written this down. So it seems like Catherine did say that, which wasn't the truth. I don't think that she'd been scheduled to finish this group therapy. Catherine just told her that. So Troy picked her up at 2 p.m. and said that he wanted to go with her to pick up the children. Catherine told Troy that she couldn't remember the name of the daycare center, but that she could direct him how to get there. So as they drove, Catherine became increasingly evasive. Lindsay was also trying to call and text Catherine. Catherine didn't tell her anything either. Around this time, obviously, so he picked her up at 2 p.m. Around this time, the older child was due to get off the school bus. In the Unresolved podcast, Troy speaks about how Catherine was kind of dragging her feet leaving the therapy, and he was becoming increasingly angry because he's like,
I'd be losing my mind if I was him. Like,
he's like, we're gonna not be able to get the kid off the bus. Like, where are these other kids? So Lindsay asked them if she could pick the oldest child up from the bus, but Troy and Catherine were closer, so they got him. Obviously, by this point, Lindsay and Troy are getting very worried. It seems like they were communicating aside from Catherine.
It seems like things are getting frantic at this point.
Yeah. I can't even imagine the chaos and just the franticness you would feel.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsay asked Troy to pull over after they'd got the oldest child, and she drove to meet them in Rockville in Maryland. Lindsay went to the vehicle and she took the oldest child out as she said she was concerned for his safety. This made Catherine furious. She got into Lindsay's car and sat next to the son in the back seat. Catherine told Lindsay that she was going with her. Lindsay said that was fine, but they were taking the child to her house, as in Lindsay's house, until they could find Sarah and Jacob. Catherine got out of the car at this point and said she was going back to Troy's car to get her phone. At this point, Lindsay drove away with the child in the car. So this really, really angered, frustrated Catherine. She began calling and texting both on her phone and Troy's phone and requesting that Lindsay return the child. She alleged that Lindsay was kidnapping him, and Lindsay said that as soon as Catherine could produce Sarah and Jacob, she'd return the oldest child. By this point, Troy was also becoming increasingly worried and frustrated, demanding that Catherine tell him where the children are. He said, "Where are my kids? Where are my kids?" Troy has said that they went to a bunch of different daycares. They would go into them and they would be like, "I'm here to pick up my kids." And they'll be like, "Your kids were never here. We've never seen Catherine before." So she did try and keep up this ruse all afternoon. And in the Unresolved podcast, he does speak about how by this point it was getting late. So a lot of the daycare centers had closed. And she said to him, it's at this specific daycare center that does like a longer day, extended care hours. So when he got there, he went in and it was still open. And he's like, "I'm here to pick up my children." And the worker was like, "There are no children left here today."
Imagine those workers being like,
Yeah, "Your children were never here." So she still kept this going for hours and hours and hours. Like, I don't know what extended daycare. I'd assume maybe like 7 p.m.-ish because, most daycares probably shut 6:30. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this was going on for at least 4 or 5 hours. Troy told Catherine that they were going to the police and that he'd had enough. Catherine requested that she first stop at a Chick-fil-A so that she could get a soda. She said that her medication was kicking in. It was making her drowsy, so she needed something with caffeine. So Troy allowed her to stop. In the Unresolved podcast, he talks about how it was a drive-through. So they went through the drive-through. She got her drink. And then the police station was right next to the Chick-fil-A. But Catherine drank her drink super quickly, and she said she needed a refill. So Troy allowed her to get out of the car and go into the restaurant for a refill. And basically after a few minutes, he realized that she had taken off. He went in.
She asked me for a refill after all this. I'd be like, absolutely not.
I'll be like, "Get a soda." I'm sure they got a vending machine at the cop station. You had one drink. That's enough. But anyway, he let her out of the car. He realized after a few minutes she wasn't coming back. So he texted Lindsay and said she's gone. They both went to the police station to, I guess, report the situation and explain what was going on. So after this, Catherine was missing for 4 entire days. This is part of a press release that was issued at the time by the Montgomery Police Department. It's quite long, so I've just picked out the kind of main parts about it. It says, at approximately 11 a.m. on September 8th, Troy dropped Catherine off at a daily medical appointment. At approximately 2 p.m., Troy picked Catherine up from her appointment and expressed to her that he wanted to pick up Sarah and Jacob. Catherine was not forthcoming with information about the children's whereabouts, so Troy decided they would go to the police station to ask for assistance. Before going to the police station, they stopped at a restaurant. Unbeknownst to Troy, Catherine left the restaurant and then he contacted police. A canine bloodhound track indicated that Catherine had exited the restaurant and walked to the Germantown Transit Center. And it goes on to list the descriptions of both of Catherine, Sarah, and Jacob. And they said at the time, investigators believe that it is possible that a friend or someone known to Catherine may be watching the children and may not realize that family members and police do not know the children's whereabouts. So obviously, Lindsay and Troy kind of worked together to try and find Catherine. Lindsay has said that while they're being questioned by police, Troy told them that Catherine had told him that she'd been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Lindsay told them, though, that she believed Catherine had actually been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. So again, there's kind of this gap in this care plan here. If they aren't even aware of exactly what she's been diagnosed with, Catherine was maybe telling people different things. It seems like not everyone was on the same page as to what was actually going on.
Yeah.
On September 11th, 2014, Randy, Catherine's dad, was asked by authorities to make a public plea for her to return with the children. The family have said that he was the closest to her, which is why he made the plea. And there's a clip of that, so I'll pop that in here.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd be remiss if I didn't start, ladies and gentlemen, by thanking Montgomery County Police Department. They have worked tirelessly. There are so many people trying to help, and we just appreciate that tremendously. I don't usually cry, so I apologize. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could, I really am saying this for my daughter, and this is a plea to my daughter to come home and have help. Many people deal with mental illness. Many families deal with mental illness. It's always a judgment about medication and the delicate balance of medication being taken. We know she's probably not been on medication for 2 weeks, and thus we know, Catherine, this is not you, and this is not who you're about and what you do. You were the first of 4 kids to give me a chance to be soccer coach. Probably was never good at it, but certainly did my best. You and Troy have given me a chance to have Clint on the soccer team. Next week, we're going to work on him going toward the right goal. But we want Sarah and Jacob to have those same kind of opportunities. The first kiss, the first homecoming, the last prom, and a full life. And we want you to do that as well. Everyone here is committed to, if you just come and get help, we'll all help you. And for that, I just want to say, please come home. We miss you, and we miss the kids.
So according to missingkids.org, Catherine was found 4 days later wandering the streets of Germantown in Maryland. Police questioned her for hours. They then brought Troy into the same room. When he walked in, Catherine said, "What are you doing here?" He said that she seemed relaxed and was nothing like the year before when she thought that their house was, someone was breaking into the house and that the car was bugged. Troy said he remembers saying to her, "I'm here hopefully to find out where my kids are, and I'm here to see you too." So Troy asked Catherine the same questions that the detectives had asked her, "Where are the children?" And she mentioned that she had given them to a woman named Erin, but wouldn't give any further information. So around this time, we learned a little bit more about Catherine's movements after she went to the Chick-fil-A. This is from Lindsay's Medium article. It says additional details were that she walked to a restaurant next to the Chick-fil-A, borrowed the host's cell phone, and called a childhood friend who lived in the area. She'd then been caught on camera in a building across from Chick-fil-A just moments after she disappeared. And then also at 4:30 a.m., she checked her voicemail from this location without her cell phone 4 times that evening. So some strange movements.
Yeah, clearly mentally unwell behavior.
Yeah. So Catherine was taken to a psychiatric hospital where she was evaluated to see if she was fit to participate in court proceedings. There's a really comprehensive article on this case from the Moultrie Observer. It was from November 2014, so not long after the kids disappeared, and outlines how the family begged her for information. Lindsay said to her, "I'm asking you as a mother, tell us where the children are." And Catherine told Randy, "They're fine, Dad. I promise you they're alive. I just can't talk about that where I am," which was when she was in the psychiatric facility.
Mm-hmm.
In November 2014, Catherine told authorities that she wanted to lead police to the children. Troy and Lindsay both went to court on that day, and this is an excerpt about what happened. It says, Catherine was brought in, hands cuffed behind her back, a blank expression on her face. Lindsay tried to make eye contact, but Catherine only looked down. State's Attorney John McCarthy asked the judge to let Catherine leave for a few hours with the police. But her attorney said Catherine had just told him she didn't want to talk to the police or to go anywhere with them. The judge denied the request. As the hearing ended, Lindsay walked towards Catherine. She wanted to tell her something. "You are my daughter and I love you." A bailiff stepped between them, but it didn't matter because Catherine had already turned away and was walking out. So despite her telling, everyone that she wanted to leave them to the children, she apparently changed her mind. The search for Sarah and Jacob was an extensive one. They used helicopters, dogs, trained grid searchers. Don't forget too, this is 2014, so probably not as much kind of drone technology and different things like that back then.
Yeah.
But there was a very extensive search carried out. Lindsay looked at her phone and technology records and discovered that at 2 p.m. on the day that the children had been discovered to be missing, a call from CCHR came into her house. She Googled and found that stands for Citizens Commission of Human Rights, which is a spin-off Scientology organization, which is kind of weird. She said that she told law enforcement about this call, but they could never link it to the disappearance of the children.
I feel like they also are the type to make like cold calls though, so it could be a coincidence,
Absolutely.
but also maybe not.
Yeah, like it is weird that it happened the day of the organization, and like maybe Catherine would be into that type of thing, but I
feel like
agree,
they'd find more proof, like if she was like into that thing, like more
there would be more
information.
Yeah. So the year that the children disappeared, 2014, Catherine was charged with 3 misdemeanors: parental abduction, neglect and hindering or obstructing an investigation. She was deemed incompetent to withstand trial and had been undergoing treatment at the Clifton T. Perkins Hospital. Prosecutors, though, said that they believed Catherine was faking her mental illness to avoid trial. 3 years after the kids disappeared in September of 2017, Catherine was indicted on 2 counts of murder. It's believed that the murder charges may have been prompted by a legal deadline. In Maryland, her misdemeanor charges all carried 3-year limits on how long a defendant could be considered mentally unfit for trial. So basically, if they didn't go to trial for those charges before the 3 years, the charges would essentially be dropped. So they needed something else to be able to hold her on. After the charges were laid, Troy spoke to the media and he said by this point he believed Catherine had murdered the children. He said, "Catherine Hoggle murdered my children and I hope Sarah and Jacob get the justice they deserve. I've held out hope that someone else may have happened. So I have held out hope that something else may have happened, as I think any parent under these circumstances would, but it has always been a faint hope, and I now know with the passage of time that Catherine killed my babies." He also spoke about what he had told the oldest child regarding the whole situation. He said, "I told him they may never come home. You understand that. I haven't outright said they died, but he's come to me and said, 'Daddy, I know there's a good chance they're with God.' And I said, 'Yes, there is.' And he said, 'Even if they're dead, they're okay.' And he hugged me." Troy went on to say, "There's times where I feel like I have to remind him I'm Daddy. I have to be strong for him. I let him know that he doesn't have to be the strong one for me. My job is to find my kids and bring them home." So Lindsay has said that she spoke to Catherine daily on the phone following the disappearance of the children. Catherine was allowed to use the phone for 20 minutes every 2 hours. That seems like a lot to me. Like that's a big phone privilege. I guess she was in the psychiatric facility at this point and not in a prison, but still a lot. This is a quote from Lindsay's Medium blog about the information that Catherine gave or didn't give. She said she never once gave even a slight bit of information nor slipped up and disclosed any bit of evidence about the children being dead. It is a paradox of sorts that even with mental illness, she will keep a secret for so long. After Catherine was indicted on the murder charges, a judge ruled that she was incompetent to stand trial and imposed continuing court-ordered treatment. Under the state law, authorities had 5 years to restore her competency before the charges must be dismissed. So this was a big part of the Unrestorable podcast, was basically like there was always this threat that they weren't going to be able to prove that she was competent and that she would be released somehow. In 2022, a judge did drop the murder charges against her, citing the 5-year time limit. Catherine was, though, ordered to remain involuntarily committed for psychiatric treatment because she was still considered a danger to herself and to others. Montgomery County State Attorney John McCarthy said that if she was deemed no longer a threat and was going to be released, he would be prepared to again charge her with murder. So Catherine was committed at the Clifton T. Perkins Hospital. This is a bit of information about that facility. It says it's a 289-bed secure psychiatric hospital in Jessup, Maryland. It is the forensic hospital providing forensic psychiatric behavioral health care with areas offering maximum, medium, and minimum security. So according to Lindsay, Catherine assumed a civil commitment, which allowed her to receive therapy outside of her medication regime, because therapy for Perkins patients with criminal charges is not allowed. So I guess this did have some kind of benefit because she was allowed to keep getting her therapy, and it may lead to what has recently happened.
Yeah.
In 2024, it was the 10-year anniversary of the children's disappearances, and there was a big media push. Troy spoke again. He spoke about basically how they didn't really know much more than they knew back in 2014, and that he felt very frustrated about the situation. He said, "I say this not negating the support that we've had or the work that people have put into it. We realize and that we appreciate it, but it just feels like no one is helping us. It feels like no one who is in a position to help is willing to help, and it's frustrating." He went on to say, "If I find my children in the woods buried somewhere, that's not closure. My kids aren't here. That hole just gets bigger. There is no happy ending here, no matter what happened, no matter what you want to believe." He said, "In the end, the reality is what I'll probably find is what unfortunately is left of them, their bodies. It's a terrible thing to know, but there's people who even ask, wouldn't it be better if you never found them? At least you can kind of hang on to hope." And he said, "No, because it's not about me, it's about them, and they deserve better than this." He also had a message for Catherine. He said, "For Catherine, if I had anything to say to her, it would just be tell the truth, because that's the whole thing. You have someone who has the key to all of this, who knows the answers, and she just won't say it." He said, "I've never ever denied that Catherine is mentally ill. In fact, I've said the opposite, and I tried to get her help. But when you look at the system, it's not doing anyone justice, including Catherine Hoggle at this point." June of 2025, Catherine was discharged from Perkins to a group home on Maryland's Eastern Shore. Not too long after, on the 1st of August 2025, Catherine was recharged with 2 counts of murder. She was held without bail for 96 days at the Montgomery County Correctional Facility before she was transferred back to Perkins on November 5th last year, 2025.
The delay is due to a number of reasons, primarily that a judge has not found their mother, Catherine Hoggle, competent enough to stand trial until just now. Now, she was in a psychiatric hospital from 2022 until last month, and now the Montgomery County State's attorney is making good on his promise.
Is there a possibility at some point in time, through either medication or treatment, she might someday be released from confinement? The answer is yes. If that happens, I have pledged that we would go back to the grand jury, refile the charges against her.
Hoggle, who is now 38, has a bond hearing this afternoon at 1:30 p.m. This moment has been over 10 years in the making. Sarah and Jacob Hoggle were last seen with their mother, Catherine, on September 7th, 2014. Last year, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released these new photos of what the Hoggle children might look like at ages 13 and 12, respectively. Hoggle was initially arrested and faced multiple charges, but a judge found her incompetent to stand trial, and the charges were dropped in 2015. But Friday, she was arrested in Kent County after the state's attorney convened a grand jury to re-indict her on 2 counts of first-degree murder. Our team reached out to the children's father, Troy Turner, over the weekend, and he asked for privacy as his family continues to search for Sarah and Jacob. He told our team last year that he hoped someone would come forward with information.
And hopefully it jogs someone's memory. I know it's been a long time. If you think you saw something 10 years ago and you think it was irrelevant, but it has to do with this, just call.
The state's attorney said that he would take some questions after that 1:30 p.m. bond hearing, so our team will be there and bring you the latest. From Montgomery County Circuit Court, Jess Arnold, WUSA 9.
A competency hearing was held for Catherine on December 8th and 9th, 2025, so just around a month ago. The point of this hearing was to determine if she was/is competent to stand trial, dangerous to herself and others, and if she is restorable. This is so strange to me, but during the hearing, it was revealed that Catherine was allowed to have an iPad and that she'd been communicating with Troy's new partner, who is a woman named Stephanie. This info about that is from NBC Washington. It says several people said on the stand that it's a very odd relationship since Catherine is facing charges of killing 2 of her and Troy's children. Several people also said that Catherine realizes this is a strange relationship, but both sides are getting something out of it. According to the testimony, there are hopes that perhaps Stephanie will eventually learn from Catherine what has happened to the children. So this is very, very strange, but I guess maybe an investigative tactic.
Yeah, like you attract more bees with honey or whatever it is, flies with honey.
Yeah. The hearing was only 2 days long. These are just some kind of excerpts that I found that were interesting in relation to the hearing. Fox 5 DC reported that they have drawings that were found with Catherine when she was first arrested, days after she went into hiding after the children went missing. One of the drawings shows stick figures and a trash can. Catherine is also reported to have told a person that she was in a counselling session with around the time that she had strangled her children.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Yeah. On December, and obviously, like, we don't really know a whole lot about what Catherine has said and done in the past because she's always been ruled incompetent, and we've just learned a little bit more in this competency hearing. After the hearing on December 10th, 2025, Catherine was thankfully deemed competent to stand trial for the murders of her children. A judge scheduled a hearing for December 23rd as attorneys and the judge determined when a trial date will be scheduled. I wasn't sure if that December date did take place because there's been no media updates, but I did have a look on the Maryland Court Register and it does seem like it went ahead. It says concluded/held. The next hearing is scheduled for February 20th this year. Fox have reported that the trial will be held this year. So we don't know a date. We don't really know anything else about that, but it does seem like things are progressing. I was surprised that there wasn't an article about the hearing, but maybe not much happened. Maybe
it makes you wonder.
Like just part of the legal process. But
hopefully it does happen this year because it's been so long already.
I feel like it would be such a massive case to begin to prosecute. Maybe it will happen this year because they've had so much time to gather all the evidence. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is one that does end up getting dragged out. If there are more mental health competency issues, surely it has to go ahead soon. It's been over 10 years. She has been deemed competent. How much longer can this go on for?
I know. It is sad what Troy was saying, how it seems like no one's helping them because it's been over 10 years and they've just been stuck basically, like no progress or anything like that. Like it doesn't seem like they've put any information out on if they found any evidence on what could have happened to the kids.
Before we finish up with the episode, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, Nutrafol. We know, you guys know that 2026 is our year. At the start of every year, women are hit with the same message, new year, new you. But what if you didn't have to reinvent anything? What if real change was already happening for you, quietly, naturally from within? That's exactly what Nutrafol believes, that real hair growth doesn't come from quick fixes or unrealistic timelines. It comes from building a routine that nourishes your body with what it needs consistently over time. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people.
Their formulations are designed to target key root causes of thinning, things like stress, hormones, nutrition, and aging, all based on your life stage, including formulas tailored for postpartum and menopause. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested to measure improvements in growth, quality, and strength. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter promo code TCS. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code TCS. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code TCS. I did see a comment on Reddit from someone who helped in the search with flying like a helicopter voluntarily, that they talked to one of the investigators. Sorry, Jackson here, and he's just staring at me. That they talked to one of the like main investigators on the case and said that he basically insinuated that there was evidence that the kids were most likely deceased, but he wouldn't elaborate more. So maybe there is more evidence, but I'd hope there's more evidence.
So in terms of theories, I guess my point comes back to the theories. One of the theories is that Catherine murdered the children and somehow managed to dispose of their bodies well enough that they haven't been found. I guess she probably did something to Jacob the night before. So it was essentially, she didn't have to take, whatever she did, she didn't have to do the 2 children at once. Jacob was likely already deceased before she took Sarah and did the same thing to her. I just can't believe with how mentally ill she was, how closely she was being monitored. It was only a few hours. I still just can't believe that those children have been hidden so well that they haven't been found. I guess, what was that? I guess it reminds me a little bit of the Hayden Manis case. He was missing and they think he was put in a dumpster, so maybe something. And if she's drawing these stick figures with a trash can, maybe that's why they haven't been found, because there was this time lapse. She was missing for 4 days when they thought she was still alive. So in that time, let's just say she did put them in a trash dumpster.
Done more.
It would have all been emptied. It would have been almost impossible to find these 2 little children. So maybe it is kind of a simple explanation like that. And I guess really the only other theory is that Catherine really did give them to someone to care for, like this errand person, maybe due to her paranoia or her mental illness. I just feel like that is super highly unlikely.
And if we've learned anything from any of the cases you have listed, Skelton Brothers, Melody Buzzard, even like Casey Anthony, anytime they say that they're with some random caregiver, they haven't been.
No. Or, and even like, again, the Skelton Brothers is another one that's been going on for over a decade. And that was 3 boys who are older, and somehow he has managed to hide those boys, I'm assuming their bodies for that amount of time. So it is possible. Timothy Pitson, another one that was only one child. It just all seems like,
do you want to finish what you're saying before?
No, I was just saying, like, it does happen. Sometimes people just get lucky. And I guess too, and I don't want to be too graphic, but when you are talking about children, the size of their remains is a lot smaller and a lot less than trying to dispose of an adult. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that she somehow just got super lucky. And essentially, she had a 4-day, almost a 5-day head start if you think about what happened to Jacob before. So that's a long time for those remains to be able to be moved and disposed of, for instance, by a trash compactor or something like that.
It was 2014, so it's not like it was like years and years ago, but there was definitely less technology than there is now as far as like tracking people. It just seems like when she was out getting the alleged pizza, like nobody really knew where she was at all, it seems like, and where she was for those days. So it just seems like they almost have nowhere to even start looking. Like they looked around, but like you said, it could be something as simple as the trash. It could just be a small little area that no one's found. I don't think they're alive. I don't think she gave them to anyone. I think she did something to them. So
yeah, I do wonder if it was like what her motive was, if she really thought maybe she was saving the children, which we've spoken about in other episodes too. Like there was maybe some I haven't seen it really mentioned that she was particularly religious or fixated on like a religious ideation.
Yeah,
but maybe
I haven't seen that either.
It was something along those lines. But
I think it was in her mom insinuated also that it was that she didn't want to get put into treatment and like have the kids taken away from her, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does seem like, obviously the Christmas Eve 2013 incident where she was handcuffed in front of the children was 9 months before this happened. I just like, I don't know, almost even like a little bit of like reminds me of Lindsay Clancy. She took the opportunity when she was alone with the children for a very short period of time that she also set up. She sent the husband out to get takeout and then she murdered the 3 children. Whereas in this one, she told them she was going to get a pizza and she probably did whatever she did to Jacob.
With her case and with Catherine, that even though they were incompetent and just like clearly mentally struggling with their mental health to do something like this, it all was very calculated at the same time.
Absolutely.
So I could see where people like question that. And again, it says a lot about mental health. Like clearly Catherine needed help and was getting help, but it's one of those situations where it's like, what more could the family do? They were doing so much besides Randy dropping the ball there. Not again. I feel bad for Randy because I'm sure he feels very, very guilty about this and has a lot of guilt, and a lot of people have probably said horrible things to him and about him. But yeah, it just was that one little mistake, and I'm sure trying to always be there for her and support her and always having people around was so exhausting, and that one little lapse, it was all it took.
And also, like you mentioned, she had been in so much treatment. She'd been involuntarily committed, and then she'd kind of progressed through her treatment enough that she was in an outpatient program for a few hours a day. So maybe their guards were down a little bit. They were thinking she's definitely getting better. She's been allowed to progress on from, the most, I guess, comprehensive treatment to something that's less invasive. And, so you would
seems
maybe
like happening in waves, like she'd
bit.
be doing okay and then bad again.
Yeah. I feel like it's probably one of those cases when we talk about Randy, letting her take Jacob to get a pizza. I understand that was the wrong thing to do, but I feel like it sounds like it was probably going to be one of those cases where she had a plan and she would have found a way to carry it out. Even if it wasn't that day, there would have been another day where she would have come up with an excuse.
Yeah. And they did say that Randy was like the closest with her. So maybe she like guilted him, manipulated him some way.
And also, like, your adult daughter who's been through all this treatment, she's like, I've got this coupon to go and get a pizza, and the baby's clinging to her. You don't want to take a clinging baby off its mother, and she's just going to get a pizza. I get, like we said, hindsight is a great, wonderful thing. But, he would have thought, really, what's the harm in her going to pick up a pizza that I can clearly see she's got a coupon for, and the baby is crying to be with its mother. Just let it be. It'll be 20 minutes and she'll be back.
It probably sucks always just having to be the bad guy of being like, no, you can't do that. No, like treating your adult child like a baby.
Yeah.
But sadly, that's what happened, is what they expected could happen.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess the main shocking thing in this case is that she was able to hide the children so well that they haven't been found. But like I mentioned, they were very little. Maybe that is what worked in her benefit somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we mentioned, the trial is predicted to take place in 2026. It will be a trial that I'll be following closely if it does happen this year. Hopefully it does, but we'll keep you posted when we have another court date, or if there are any other developments.
Yeah, so that is it for this episode. Would be interested to hear what everyone has to say about this one, or if you guys have heard any other things about it, let us know in the Spotify comments or on whatever you listen on Instagram, anything. Everything will be on the blog at truecrimesocietyblog.com. As always, all of our sources and all that. We did fix it because there was like a weird glitch with the ads. Yes. So it is readable now. It's much better now. So you can go on there and actually read it. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at True Crime Society. We're always posting updates there and links and everything, following the latest big stories and all that. And if you want to see what we're up to, my Instagram, Steph_, Olivia's TCS Olivia. And Patreon, check us out on there. We do weekly bonus episodes. So you get 2 episodes a week, all ad-free. Earlier release on this episode, like the main episodes. Plus there's some fun chats, and it's just like a whole community on there. We share more about our lives if you care about us, some updates and things like that. Plus you'd get a shout out like at the start. But that's it. So leave the comments, all the things, share your Instagram stories. We love that. Share what you guys are doing. It's also a great way to like promote like your little businesses or anything. Like we can help each other out. Like if you're baking cakes for your business and listening to True Crime Society, share it to your Instagram story and we'll share it and we can all help each other out. Yeah, candles.
Someone made really neat rose-shaped candles this week. I love seeing all that type of stuff.
Yeah, well, I'll send us your name and we'll share it because now I feel bad we're not saying the names.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good way to help each other out. So keep that up. And that's all. So thank you guys for listening. Stay safe out there. Peace out.